Hey, friend, what's up? How's your wound, Gents?
That hurts my throat. Today, we're going to be talking about cheap fragrances that you can wear year-round. So you don't have to spend much money, and you can wear it whenever you want. What a blessing. Spring, summer, fall, winter, daytime, nighttime, whatever. You can wear the fragrance. And you don't have to pay that much money. Unless you don't listen to me and you buy it at full retail at your local Macy's or Belk or wherever. And if that's the case, then what are you doing, man? Save that money. Go buy yourself a hot and ready Little Caesars pizza. Or is it Little Kaisers? So that's what we're doing today. 10 cheapies you can wear year round. Lots of versatility. Let's check these out. Know what else you can do year round? You can use the code GENTS10 at twistedlily.com or maxaroma.com, and that will save you 10%. Year round. All right, first fragrance is from Mont Blanc, and it is this guy, Emblem. Get it? Because it looks like Mont Blanc's emblem. This one does not get talked about super often. Some people would say that the performance is lacking a little bit. That's the problem with this. I think the performance is fine as far as longevity goes. It's just it sits a little bit closer to the skin than some people would like. But that does give it very good versatility because it has kind of a mixture of warm and sweet and fresh facets. So it's a little bit like one of those meeting of worlds fragrances where you first smell it and you're like, oh, very fresh. But then as it dries down, you're like, now it's getting a little bit more like a cool weather type fragrance. And because the performance is not insane, as far as projection goes anyway, it's again, fine to me, but it's not ultra strong. So in summertime, you can pull it off, even though it has a little bit of that richer, sweeter body to it. Richer, sweeter body as it dries down. So that one makes use of violet leaf, tonka bean, and cinnamon, along with a bit of grapefruit in the opening. And Emblem actually has a really nice, appealing scent profile to it. It's not one of the big daddies from Mont Blanc, so it doesn't get talked about that much. It flies under the radar, which is going to make it a little more unique for you. Not you, but you. Yeah. Let's do another Mont Blanc while we're talking Mont Blanc. Explorer. So Explorer, of course, smells a bit like Creed's Aventus. Okay, that's all you need to know about it. On to the next one. But seriously, though, I mean, Creed Aventus, you can wear that whenever you want. And same goes for Explorer. Maybe Explorer is a little bit fresher than Aventus because it doesn't have as much of that birch, that smokiness. Or it doesn't have birch at all as a note, but it doesn't have that smokiness, instead relying more on an ambroxany kind of base. It has a nice fresh spiciness to it in the opening. It's the type of scent that you can spray on and wear in any occasion, and it's gonna work. And thankfully, it's way cheaper now than when it first came out. But now it's the type of fragrance I would point to like anybody and say, go ahead and get yourself that in your collection. You can wear that anytime you want, man. And it's cheap, dude. Since we're talking Aventus, we're gonna do this one next. Now, some of you may need to pull out your barf bags, and I apologize for that, but facts are facts. And if you're talking about a fragrance that people are gonna go crazy for, it's not gonna cost you that much. It's gonna project. It's gonna last a long time. You can wear it pretty much any season. Just adjust your sprays up or down. This one will do all of that for you. Club de Nuit Intense Man from Armaf. Now, the bottle is cheesy and yet at this point iconic. Could you say that? I mean, I guess. You see this bottle, you see this outline, you know what it is like that. I mean, that's how this fragrance has gotten. Say what you want. And, you guys have said it all, trust me. But stuff works. The opening can be a little bit rough, a little lemony, cleanery, synthetic, chemically. But as it dries down, there is no denying Club de Nuit Intense Man has got the goods. It is obviously an Aventus clone, in case you're unaware for some reason, the most popular Aventus clone. And this right here on the cheap will get it done time in and time out. There are countless people out there that can speak to that, trust me. And my wife, she actually really digs Club de Nuit Intense Man. Back in the day, she didn't like the opening so much, but I'll tell you, as time has gone on, forget about it. Let's switch it up. Yop Om Ice. This guy right here with the name, you would think summertime fragrance. And I talk about this every time I bring the fragrance up, but it's not really just a summertime scent. I mean, honestly, it's not even made specifically for summer. It's like one of those weird things that happen sometimes with fragrances where the naming convention doesn't necessarily make all the sense in the world, but that's okay. It does have some freshness to it. It's just not as icy fresh as you would expect if you've never smelled the thing. It actually has an interesting fruitiness to it from Plum, a fruity note, I should say, that is a little bit deeper, darker, richer, heavier than you would expect in a fragrance named Ice. But what that means is the fragrance works really well in cool weather and also can be pulled off in warm weather. I think it's one of the better cheap buys out there. The presentation is nice. It's very heavy, the glass of the bottle, so it doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't look cheap. Nice versatility, good compliment factor. One of the Yope fragrances I actually really like, because some Yope fragrances I think are complete garbage, garbaggio, but this is good. And now a classy one, Lalique White. This fragrance, some people will tell you smells similar to Parfums de Marly Galloway. And it kind of does. It's in that style, only obviously way cheaper than Galloway. So this is most well known for having a good amount of black pepper, a little bit of citrus off the top, then lemon leaf and cedar and musk in the base of the fragrance. Very clean, a great office scent. As I said, very sophisticated, really nice, classy men's scent. Most people would say that Lalique White is more for spring, summertime. But I think with that scent profile, it works just as well in the cold and gives it a different kind of edge. All right, now let's go ahead and bang out some really obvious ones here. When you're talking year round, you're talking versatility, the first thing that should pop into your mind as far as designer fragrances goes is, yes, blue fragrances. That is correct. Blue fragrances. Your Sauvages, your Bleu de Chanel's, your YSL Ys, stuff like that. Now, what's the issue with YSL Y, your Sauvage Bleu de Chanel, and stuff like that? Well, they're not cheap. Some people would say, well, that's not a big deal, but other people out there who are on a more limited budget, or they don't want to spend as much money, or maybe they're very young, or, in college or something, that can be kind of an issue, right? So what do we do then? Well, you can still check out blue fragrances, just get ones that are a bit cheaper at discounters. So the first one I'll talk about is Dylan Blue. This is the first one that I would recommend personally. I think that the fragrance itself is very, very good. It's going to accomplish the exact same things that Y Eau de Parfum or Bleu de Chanel or Sauvage are going to accomplish. It has a really nice citrus opening that's going to draw attention. It has a nice bit of warmth in there as it dries down. The incense gives it a little more nuance, a little more depth. It has that ambroxan that people really gravitate toward. It does all of that really well. And then the presentation looks nice. It doesn't cost all that much, and the performance is good too. So Dylan Blue, this is the first one that I would suggest, but maybe the Versace is not for you. So then maybe check out this one, Coach for Men. Coach for Men gets a lot of love from people for being affordable. Again, having a nice presentation. So, it doesn't look really cheesy and crappy sitting on your shelf. A lot of people, that is not important, but to other people it is. You want something that looks nice. So when people come over, they don't look at it and go, oh, you're wearing the Hugo Booze. Can't afford the Boss. You had to get the frickin' Hugo Booze. So yeah, you don't want that, right? And this looks pretty nice. Plus the Coach fragrance, maybe it'll match her Coach bag or something. I don't know. This one has a fairly interesting note breakdown, actually. And the opening, you have pear and kumquat. There's also bergamot in there and grapefruit, and that's like, oh, okay, normal citrus. But they want to switch things up a little bit, give you a slight different take on that blue fragrance opening. And it actually smells really good. Has that ambroxan, amber woody type dry down that, again, people are drawn to. Very easy to wear, modern and masculine, and a very affordable scent, Coach for Men. And it actually smells a little bit similar to this one, which is also very affordable, Jimmy Choo Man. So Jimmy Choo Man, another one very inexpensive from discounters, and another fragrance that, frankly, is going to be able to really accomplish anything that you could want a fragrance to do. I would say on the whole that I would tell you Coach for Men and Dylan Blue probably I would check out first. But if for whatever reason those don't work for you and you still want something that's cheap and will get the job done, compliments, versatility, all that stuff, Jimmy Choo Man should be on your list to check out. It's a little bit sweeter than Coach for Men. It has pineapple in the opening. Doesn't smell like a Ventus. Actually, it's more like an offshoot of a Bleu de Chanel type scent. Also suede and lavender in there. Very people-pleasing, easy to wear. The performance could be a little bit better, but on the whole, for the price, it's a nice pickup. So earlier, I was making fun of Hugo Booze bottles, but what if you did want a Hugo Boss? One that was not too expensive? Well, actually, there are a number of Boss fragrances that you can get for a pretty cheap price at discounters, but maybe one that you would overlook that you should check out is this one, Boss Bottled Night. And no, I don't love this to the point that I felt like I had to get the biggest bottle possible. When I got the fragrance, for whatever reason, the biggest bottle possible was also the best buy as far as the price goes, so I have a massive bottle of it. This one has lavender, birch, violet, and additional woody notes. It's not as heavy as you might expect from the name and that note breakdown. You know, this all black and very dark blue at the bottom and the name Night. You would think, oh, it's gonna be probably pretty rough to wear during the summertime, but in actuality, it has a decent amount of sweetness coming off of that violet, like a surprisingly decent amount of sweetness and freshness as well. It's actually a little bit similar to Dior's Fahrenheit Cologne. So it's kind of like Fahrenheit Cologne made ever so slightly more shower jelly. Kind of. Actually works really well just about any time of year, daytime or nighttime, even though it is called Night. And as I said, kind of an under the radar choice, an under the radar fragrance. Doesn't cost too much. Nobody's going to be wearing it, but pretty easy to pull off. And then last but not least, one from Carolina Herrera that I've talked about a few times in the past. It is Chic for Men. This is a little bit of a black sheep at this point, I feel like. A black chic. But this one is really just a king of versatility, completely overlooked nowadays, any season, daytime or nighttime. And it's one that people just really gravitate toward. It's a very easy to wear scent with watermelon off the top, giving you an interesting opening, different than your typical grapefruit / bergamot and ginger. That being said, there is also bergamot in here along with other citrus notes, but the watermelon really comes through. Also get a little bit of cardamom off the top, a green cardamom. And then you get more fresh and warm spices as the fragrance dries down. A little bit of sweetness that comes in and gives some life to the fragrance as it dries and hits the base. And then tonka, sandalwood, musk, and amber as it hits the full dry down. The performance is pretty good with this one. It's a real shame that it didn't take off in a huge way to where Chic is still this ongoing line with all kinds of flankers coming out. I mean, Herrera, at this point, they concentrate on the 212 line and the CH Men line with their constant limited editions every year, but Chic deserved better. It deserved a little more love. It is just as versatile as the blue fragrances that I talked about in this video. It's just kind of a different approach to versatility for men's scents, and I think it's really good. So there you go, 10 cheap, versatile fragrances you can use all year round. I want to thank you guys for hanging with me here. Thank you for your support as always. Stay safe out there. It's a crazy world, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.